Welcome back to Hannity. Another day, another Clinton controversy. Politico is reporting that longtime Clinton crony Sid Vicious Blumenthal was being paid around 10 grand a month by the Clinton Foundation, while at the same time sending error-filled email messages offering advice and, quote, intelligence on Libya to then Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, who in fact forwarded these emails. Joining us now with reaction, the author of the best-selling book, Clinton Cash, Peter Schweitzer, is back with us. So she would forward these emails, right?
Right.
Okay. From him, wasn't he looking to do business with Libya at the time?
He was, Sean. I mean, this is a classic example of what we call the Clinton blur. So you have Sid Blumenthal, who's being paid 10 grand a month. He's been brought to the Clinton Foundation to work on so-called Clinton legacy projects. What he's actually doing is providing intelligence to Hillary Clinton as Secretary of State. The reason he's not doing that from the State Department is the Barack Obama White House said, no way, we're not going to allow him in this administration. And so he's providing these so-called intelligence reports in an area he's not an expert for, while at the same time he's working with this company that's seeking contracts from the Libyan government, and Sid Blumenthal is pushing them. I mean, talk about a massive conflict of interest. If this isn't one, I don't know what one would be.
What do you know about the slush fund of Bill Clinton? And what do you know about this nexus of the Swiss wanting to continue to do business with Iran, lobbying Hillary Clinton while Secretary of State, and meanwhile they're raising all of this money in the country? What do you know about that?
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a problem that we've seen. We've seen it in Canada. We've now seen it in Sweden, where there are these charities that have been set up that are really shell companies of the Clinton Foundation.
How many have you found? How many specific shell companies, Peter?
There are three that we know of. There's one in the UK, there's one in Sweden, and there's one in Canada. But I would say those are the ones we know of. We are looking for others, and I think there probably will be others. And the problem is, Sean...
Go ahead, because I was going to say, are they getting something from Hillary? I don't mean to interrupt you. Are they getting something from Hillary? Things that they wouldn't ordinarily get as a compensation.
Well, I think they're trying to, Sean. I mean, in the case of Sweden, for example, they give $26 million through this government-owned lottery to the Clinton Foundation at precisely the same time the Swedish government, and I report on this in the book with State Department cables, at precisely the same time the Swedish government is trying to get Hillary's State Department off their backs because Sweden is doing all these commercial deals with Iran. Bill Clinton gives his biggest single payday speech ever for a Swedish company called Ericsson for $750,000 at this same time. And guess what? When it comes to Iranian sanctions, Hillary's State Department decides in the end to not include Swedish companies. So I would say absolutely they're getting things from Hillary Clinton while she's Secretary of State.
Here's the thing. The Clintons have gotten away with so much. There's so much information in your book that even the New York Times and the Washington Post and Fox News and credible news sources have investigated and even taken these things further. Do you think the average person is understanding the quid pro quo nature of the foundation and what she was doing as Secretary of State? Do you think it's breaking through into the public consciousness?
Well, I think the polls are showing that there are increasing numbers of people that don't view her as honest. But honestly, Sean, I think the solution on this is there needs to be criminal investigation because these are complicated issues. And it's the same thing with, Governor Bob McDonnell in Virginia or Senator Menendez. If you ask the average American to look at a flurry of transactions, it's going to be hard for them to digest them unless they're sitting on a grand jury. So my view is the next logical step, and it's going to take enormous courage from the FBI or whoever to launch a criminal investigation on this. The Clintons are hoping on the fact that these are happening in far-off countries that they won't understand it.
I interviewed Congressman Jim Sensenbrenner yesterday on my radio show. He wrote the Patriot Act. As you know, there's been a lot of talk about revisiting and balancing national security and civil liberties of people. He told me that act has been violated, and I asked him specifically, do you think that every American's phone calls have been tape recorded and tapped? He said yes. You think every electronic message has been recorded? He said yes. Doesn't that mean that everything, and I asked him where it was stored, he said someplace in Utah. Do you think it's possible that maybe every email Hillary deleted is in Utah? Is that possible?
It is certainly possible. There's also been statements by, former senior CIA officials on the record, Sean, saying that the fact that she had her server in her home, it was not part of the government system, that it's almost completely 100% sure that it was hacked by foreign government entities. So I think there are certainly the possibility that the U.S. government has access to it. I think it's almost positive that a foreign hacking organization has access to it. And, of course, that raises huge questions about what's in those emails. Is there blackmail potential, et cetera?
Absolutely.
So that's why this needs to be probed.
All right, well said. All right, congratulations on the book success. Peter Schweitzer, thank you.
Thanks, Sean.
And coming up.